Holy fuck, Horikoshi. What the fuck? Oh, okay. So yeah. Um, My Hero Academia, chapter 304 is a thing. And yeah, I'm just gonna say this right here, right now. What you guys are getting is my pure, uncut, raw reaction. I have not taken any notes, no nothing. This is just me, pure, raw here. And, like, honestly, even then, I've got no idea as to where to even start with this chapter, because in like as I guess as it said at the end of the chapter, Izuku is now the official is basically now the is now officially the pretty much last wielder of One for All. Like the Prince cycle, it stops with and pretty much because of the battle of well, pretty much because of the inner battle that was going on between Izuku and All for One and all that, and pretty much because of what All for One did during their battle, it's like the cycle is over. Like the cycle of One for All is over. It stops right now as it stands. It stops with Izuku, and that is and that just in a certain way, it kind of just shows that All for One has kind of won in the end. He's pretty much put a stop to cycle, and now and like really the and at this point the and at this point, like, there's like he's like one for all at this point is Izuku's quirk. It's his alone. He's the one who possesses this quirk, and honestly, this is the best use of this kind of like this is the best use of this kind of trope I've seen in like I this is the best use I've seen of this kind of trope of like of a main character like constantly getting all these different power ups. Like it's all culminated into this one moment where it is now Izuku's quirk. Like the idea of normal people in this world are people with quirks. And if I understand the context correctly, and if I understand context correctly, because of the battle with Prince All for One and Shigaraki, it's basic. The quirk has unintentionally evolved to the point where no one else can wield it. Izuku is the only like the cycle ends. Izuku is the only one who can wield this quirk anymore. He pretty much can't pass it on to anyone else because, well, people without power are kind of people without power are kind of more or less non-existent in this world anymore. I mean, every once in a while one might pop up, but yeah, the whole cycle, it begins and ends with Izuku, and now it's and now it's pretty much and the scariest and the scary and the most insane part of this is that if it really kind of sets up it really what Horikoshi is really doing here, and it's really kind of scary, is that he's setting it up to where this cycle must end now. Like it's unavoidable. This cycle between One for All for One, it has to end. Like if All for One and if the battle with All for One and Shigaraki had pretty much had ended the cycle of One for All, now it's up to Izuku in order to end the cycle of All for One. All for One can no longer keep gathering power or keep reincarnating or just keep existing anymore. The cycle of it, just as the cycle with One for All has ended, the cycle with All for One when the cycle of All for One has to end. Like Izuku, it's up to Izuku now in order to end this cycle, and it's I it's kind of insane that it's gotten to this point. Now let's now now obviously now getting back to the whole dynamics of how the whole of how like One for All's history was explained, and how the different how Izuku's predecessors, particularly the one with Danger Sense, had used it. He pretty much said that it was a at this point it's at this point obviously one of the things is that even if one of the things that was touched upon is that the is that one for all is that in the past when someone with a quirk had inherited one for all, it pretty much shortened their lifespan. and and honestly, this makes a whole lot of sense because this honestly makes a whole lot of sense because when it came to one for all, it was already as an over it was already described very early on as an overload of power. So it would make sense that adding power on top of power would definitely have some side effects, but in and the fact that it actually and the fact that like combining one for all with another quirk factor actually is what does this. It makes way too much sense, honestly. Like it makes way too much sense, honestly, because it's just pretty much power. It would be just power clashing with power and both kind of fighting and both in some ways kind of fighting each other and not really melding. So in that's it's not so much so it's a complete actually reversal of what All Might had thought, which is that the power it doesn't meld with another's quirk. In reality, the quirks are actually fighting with each other, and that's what pretty much causes, and that's what caused for a lot of the predecessors. Like the quirk never melded. It was just two quirks fighting with each other, and yeah, in that sense of the whole of the old age factor, it makes a lot of sense. But even more than that, um, even though even the whole old age factor was pretty much presented in this chapter of only applying to pretty much those who had quirks. I think I think this is Horikoshi's way of also kind of implementing All Might's death into this as well. Because here's the thing, I think I I want to genuinely believe, honestly, that at this point, All Might's death has been more or less subverted. But I almost also think that at this point, All Might is still destined to die, but it's going to be of like natural causes at this point. Like I don't think All Might is going to die at the hands of like of Shigaraki or All for One at this point. I think it is going to happen at the hands of just old age at this point. So it's one of those things where it really is setting up. It really is setting up Izuku right now as one of the as the final one in order to bear this torch of one for all. And yeah, like I said, this there's 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 so much insanity here. Like I cannot even I I I cannot believe that Horikoshi actually had the fucking balls to do this. Like and the thing is, he's like pretty much before, I always had a and like the thing is, I always had a bit of a problem with the idea that Izuku was always going to have these multiple quirks. But with this sudden chapter, it kind of makes it all the more better for me. It kind of makes it feel all the more better for me because Izuku is going to be just the sole living is going to be the sole living like and final and final holder of this power. And it it basically it's going to begin and end with him. Like this is where he truly ends up becoming the world's greatest hero, but by pretty much ending this is the point where he becomes the world's greatest hero by ending the pretty much cycle of his predecessors that's been going on for years. And I again, I've always been kind of iffy about this whole chosen one thing, but I feel this is like the best use of one of the better uses of this chosen one trope, where it's like everything begins and ends with him. There's no carrying on the torch, no nothing. It just all ends with Izuku, and I kind of love it for that. Um, but yeah, and but yeah, but yeah, as I said, as I said though, it does kind of just at this point. There's really no other direction other than to just end this thing with Shigaraki and All for and All Might, and with All Might All for One. It needs to end now, and got my I've got my worries about how this is gonna end, but I think with I think I think I've got a better that when Izuku finally does wake up and we see like everyone, I've got a lot of good vibes about how he's going to explain his power now to everyone, or how it's going to work. So yeah, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, yeah, I'm sorry if I was kind of just rambling on and on with this, but yeah, that's pretty much. Just tell me what you guys think of this chapter, honestly, because I'm kind of, yeah, this chapter was nuts. But yeah, that's all I've got, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and on Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.